Hi everyone, my name is Mohammad Kardan. In this video I'm going to discuss what I know about Mipmaps and why it's important in game design and in game environment. As you can see, we have so many things in here, so many objects, so many textures and so on, and these objects needs some space in our RAM to process and calculate and render all of this beautiful scene, as you can see. Okay, so I wanna be fast and explain it as clean as possible. Okay, so when we have so many things in our scene and LODs and so many stuffs, when we get far, for example in this position, or when we are up close, for example till here. Okay, so what does our game engine do? For example, in our game engine, when we are this close to this floor, our texture render as highest graphic as possible, and we don't have any reduce on our quality of our textures. Okay, but when we are, for example, in this area, why do we need our texture to render as the highest quality as possible? Because there is no point, we are too far to see what is going on that texture. Okay, so what is Mipmap? In our game engine we have so many textures. Okay, I have so many textures on wood, on, for example, on my tiles, rocks, buildings, decals, and so many, so on and so forth. Okay, so when I put a texture on Unreal Engine, this is the setting for our texture. As you can see, for example, in here it says I imported a 4K texture, but right now it's rendering in 2K, and it has 12 Mipmaps, and we are talking about Mipmaps. So it's so important to have Mipmaps in here. So what is Mipmap? In here, as you can see, we have Mipmap. We have a setting in here. If I click it, it says like Mipmap 0 is the highest quality. This is 4K because I imported as 4K. So our first Mipmap is this one. Okay, then we go to level 1, and a little bit, as you see, it decreases the quality. Again, on level 2 it decreases a little bit more. Do you see it's 512 by 512? Do you see it's in here? In here it's 512 by 512. In here was 1K by 1K. Here is 2K by 2K. And if I make it at 4K, it's gonna be 4K. Okay, so it decreases by this number. Let me reset to the default. So our Mipmap 0. So this is 4K, this is 2K, this is 1K, and it decreases more and more. Okay, so what does it do? Imagine, like, let me show you a picture. It will explain it more better. So here is in our Google, I searched Mipmap. So in this picture, as you can see, this is for, imagine like this is the 4K, 2K, 1K, 512, 256, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the highest quality. When we are this close to our scene, we will see the most quality of our texture. Okay, then as we get far, for example in this distance, it gets a little bit lower, okay, and then we get a little bit more far, it again it's decreased more. As you see in this picture, this is the automatic of the system of our game engine. For example, when we are this close to this tree, to these trees, the quality is the highest. When we get far, a little bit far and far, the texture quality decreases, okay. And what is important if it's automatic, if it's do it on its own, and why I'm discussing about it? The reason is that when you import your textures, it has to be in the power of 2. It's like 2 496 248 again 124. You get the idea, okay? But we can't, for example, import a texture, for example 500 by 500. It's not possible, because the game engine just know about for example 4K or 2K or 1K or 8K, but for example it's 6K, for example 6K by 6 6000 with 6000 doesn't support in our game engine. The game engine can't divide it equally to making Mipmaps. And let me show you an example in here. For example, I imported a texture like, for example, this one. Yeah, look at it. It's this dimension. This is the resolution, and it's not the power of 2. And as you can see, it says like number of MIPS is 1, and but in here we have 13 number of Mipmaps, because our game engine could produce Mipmaps from 4K to 2K to 1K and go lower and lower. But in here can't calculate. The game engine gets confused. What should I do with this one? How should I divide it? And it's not gonna do anything, and I can't even decrease it. For example, I can't say go 4 5 12. It says maximum texture size cannot be changed because it is a non-power of 2 size. So what should I do? I have to import in power of 2 textures in our scene, okay, in our game engine. For example, in here, as you can see, these are 4K, okay. They didn't have any problem, but this one was 6K by 6K, and it wasn't good. So you should put it on Photoshop. Let me open Photoshop. So let's open this one. First of all, open this texture in Photoshop. Here is the Photoshop. So as you can see, this is our picture, and we go to image. Let me bring it like that. We go to image, and there is it. Export as, and in here you can type your size. For example, I say, okay, let's, instead of going lower, we can go it even higher, okay, because if I type it like 124, it decreases this one as well. So I would type it like 248 by 248, and we have to I think this one doesn't work. Let me search a little bit. Yeah, I missed it. it was in here in image. We go to image size, and in here I type 2048 by 2048. Okay, so this is the result. It's become 2K by 2K. So then we export it from our Photoshop in our Unreal Engine. Let me do it. We go to File, Export, Export As. We select PNG, and right now it's 2K by 2K. The reason I select PNG because the main format was PNG, and plus that PNG has better quality rather JPEG. Okay, so this is the size, and it's 2K by 2K, and we hit export, and it says where should I put it. I say put it in here, place it. Okay, so now this is our new texture, and as you were watching, it was the old resolution of this texture. So now if I import it in here, it's become 2K in the power of 2, and it's make Mipmaps of this texture. Okay, so this is our texture. I import it in here, and because in the past it was imported in not power of 2, we have to uncheck this part, because MIP gen setting, you see it has some, yeah, we hit it. Now do you see it has number of MIP maps. It made our MIPs, and we can, for example, go in here and select. Do you see it's becomes smaller and smaller when we get far. Okay, so and we have to do it for other textures like that, for example this one and this one, because it has gloss and normal and reflection. We have to again do the same process for these. For other textures that not in power of 2, it's not necessary for personal project, but for game industry it's always necessary to import in power of 2 textures. Okay, so in here, for example, my carpet wasn't in power of 2, but this wood was, this plastic didn't have 4K, it was 3K, and I go to Photoshop and do the same process for our game engine, and I want to show you something in here, something else. So in here, if we type it stat streaming, it's gonna show us this menu, and as you can see, it's we have something like non-streaming MIPS, and it's like 1.5 gig. Okay, so for example, when we get too far or whatever, our game engine can't decrease this number, but when we get too far from our textures, the streaming pool and record pool, it will increase or decrease. Do you see now it's 300, but when we get far it's a little bit become lower. Okay, and if we had all of our textures in power of 2, this number all the time can change and it can improve our performance and all of that. And I mean by this technical stuff means like how many RAMs or VRAM our game engine needs to process our stuffs. So yeah, this was the idea. In my project I did mostly on so many of them. For example, these buildings didn't have the same texture, but I converted into Photoshop and decreased them a little bit. And another benefit of them is that whenever your game engine, your game become heavy, you can always go in here and decrease the texture quality because you have the option. But when it's not get streamed, because yeah, when it's not get streamed we can't do that and we face too many problems. So another thing you can discuss is that, for example, how is the easiest way to, for example, when our textures get too high. For example, in here I exported this texture for our floor and I wanted to maybe decrease or increase the quality, and I don't want to go and do it one by one. I can click all of them and go to, where is it, bulk edit via property. Okay, let it open. So this is the settings. So how can we increase or decrease? We go to our compression, we have maximum texture size, we click it. Now we can see that if it was 0, it means that it didn't decrease. We can click them all and, for example, say like maybe I want it to be 256 and we click it. Okay, so now this is the new quality of our assets, as of our texture. Do you see it's get blurred? We can make it more blurry, like maybe 32. So this is the result. And the most reason that old games wasn't so many qualities, it was these settings, because in the past we didn't have so many RAMs and our hardware wasn't so powerful that can handle all of these highest quality. So it was the result. But nowadays we can, for example, let's go it like 0. 0 means there is no compression. Now this is the result. Do you see? Okay, let's go it, for example, in 124, and this is the result. So there, when we get when we have MIPS, when we get far, our maps, our game engine automatically doing it, and we are good to go. So let me go it back to 248. The reason I did that because I wanted my texel density to be 1K, and that was the reason I decreased it. And when someone wants me to show my scene in 2K texel density, I can go in here and increase this number to 4K, and so on and so so on and so forth. Okay, so hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next video. Goodbye.